Hello everyone. I hope you all would be doing great. In today's lecture, we are going to start chapter 1, George's Secret Key to the Universe. And the theme of this chapter is Exploring Space. The chapter is written by Lucy and Stephen Hawking. Now let's read and find out who was George and where and how has he found the secret key which has unlocked the mysteries of the universe. So shall we start? If you watch the sky on a clear cloudless night, you will see a large number of stars. Most of the stars appear to be in groups when viewed from the earth. The groups of the stars that form some recognizable pattern or shape in the sky are called constellation. You may have read this term in your junior classes, in your middle classes, that what is a constellation? The group of the stars that form some recognized pattern or the shape in the sky, that is known as constellation. And the people who love nature, they love to see, they love to gaze at the sky which is studded with full of shining stars or the dazzling stars. Can you recognize these well-known constellations? There is a picture given in your book and the figure of two constellations is being shown, that is the Big Dipper and Little Dipper. Here the stars form the shape of a dipper or a cup with a long handle. If you observe this picture, you can see that these pictures resemble either a dipper or a cup, and there are three stars in the handle of the dipper, and the long part which you can see, that can be called as the handle of the dipper, and four in the bowl. So this is the Big Dipper and Little Dipper. Now carefully observe the second picture. This is one of the most recognizable patterns which the ancient Greeks called hunter. This was because it resembled a hunter from one of their myths, so they named it Orion after him. The line of three stars in the middle form his belt. If you carefully observe this picture, you can see that it seems that the three stars in the middle form the belt, and it appears that somebody is ready to shoot with an arrow. That's why it is called as Orion or hunter. The similar way, if I recall my own school days, so I can recall the two constellation, that was Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. Okay, so these two constellations you have to draw in your fair notebook as the introduction page. Big Dipper and Little Dipper, or Orion or hunter. Now let's start the reading of the chapter. George enters an abandoned house to find his pet. He finds out that the house is not abandoned and a girl named Annie lives there with her father Eric. George, who is a character of this story, he enters an empty house or an isolated house to find his pet. And when he enters the house, he finds that the house is not abandoned. There is a girl named Annie who lived in the house with her father named Eric. Eric is a scientist and likes George very much. Their house is in a mess, but George spots many interesting things in the clutter of the books and papers. The house was not spick and span. It was not neat and clean. The things were not well organized. Rather, the interesting things. He found interesting things in the clutter. Clutter means mess, or you can call it chaos. Mess, M-E-S-S, mess, or chaos, C-H-A-O-S, of books and papers. So he found many interesting things in the clutter of books and papers. The thing that fascinates him The most is Eric's special computer. The thing which attracts George's attention, which fascinates George the most, is Eric's special computer. Eric's computer was small and glossy. It looked powerful and neat, the sort of computer you might find on a spaceship. What were the characteristics of Eric's computer? That it was a small computer and glossy. Glossy means it has a shiny and smooth surface. And it looked powerful and neat. The sort of the computer you might find on a spaceship. It was not a common computer which is usually found in the houses or in offices. It was a special computer which you can find on a spaceship. Eric hit a couple of buttons on the keyboard and the computer made a sort of humming noise while bright flashes of color shot across the screen. He patted the computer happily. Eric pressed some keys on the keyboard and consequently there is a sort of humming noise. When you press the keys of the key on the keyboard, it produces some humming noise, and as you have given a command to the computer, some bright flashes of color that appears on the screen, and he patted the computer gently and happily. "You have forgotten something," said a strange mechanical voice, and George jumped out of his skin. Suddenly, George heard a peculiar voice. And what did the voice say? "You have forgotten something," said a mechanical voice. It was a robotic voice, or it was a mechanical voice, and George jumped out of his skin. Jumped out of his skin means he got surprised. He was flabbergasted. He was bewildered that what had happened. How does a computer machine, or how does a computer speak? "Have I?" Eric looked confused for a moment. Eric replied to that voice, "Have I?" And he was completely confused for a moment. What can be the different vocab for the confused? You can use perplexed, 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 baffled, bewildered, astounded. I have mentioned these vocabulary in your assignment. You can copy it from there. "Yes," said the voice. "You haven't introduced me." Again the voice replied, "Yes, you certainly have forgotten something. You haven't introduced me." "I'm sorry," exclaimed Eric. "George, this is Cosmos, my computer." Whose voice was that? That was Eric's computer's voice, and its name was Cosmos. So he exclaimed, he apologized to Cosmos that he hadn't introduced Cosmos to George. George gulped. He had no idea what to say. George gulped. Gulp means swallowed something. Sometimes when we are completely baffled, when we are completely astonished or bewildered, in that circumstances we used to swallow our saliva inside our mouth. We engulf, we swallow the saliva to make our throat wet. So he gulped and he had no idea what to say. He was surprised, or he was astonished to see that how a computer can speak. "You have to say hello to Cosmos," said Eric in side whisper to George. Whisper means to speak in a low voice. Eric, in a murmur or in a whisper, he spoke to George. "You have to say hello to Cosmos. Otherwise, it will get offended." He asked George to wish Cosmos. Otherwise, Cosmos will get offended. Offended means angry or annoyed. Now there is a question, why does George gulp? Can you think other meaning of the gulp? So what was the what thing made George gulp? That he was bewildered, or he was astounded to see or hear the voice of a computer. And the other meaning which can describe gulp is swallowed. Or you can say to gasp or choke. "Hello, Cosmos," said George nervously. He had never spoken to a computer before. He wished Cosmos, "Hello, Cosmos," and the Cosmos replied in the same manner. "Hello, George," replied Cosmos. "I'm the most powerful computer in the world. In the future, there will be computers more powerful than me, but there are none in the past or present." Now, after reading these lines, it appears that Cosmos is very arrogant and he has a great pride in his capabilities. He introduced himself. "Hello, George. I'm the most powerful computer in the world. In future, there will be more powerful computers than me, but at present, there are none. Neither it was there in the past." So this was the introduction given by Cosmos to the George about himself. "Sorry about this," Eric whispered to George. "Computers can be a bit touchy sometimes." Now, computer is a gadget. It's a mechanical machine. It does not have any heart. It does not have any body or the soul. So how it can feels the emotions? But Eric whispered to George that sorry about this behavior of Cosmos. He is a bit touchy. Touchy means he is a bit sensitive, or he can be easily upset by something. He is a bit emotional. And Cosmos continued, "I'm cleverer than Eric too." Again, he is boasting about himself that "I'm cleverer than Eric too." "Says who?" said Eric crossly, glaring at the screen. Now Eric replied in an angry tone. He was continuously staring at the screen and he said, "Says who? Who said that you are cleverer than me?" "Says me," said Cosmos. Now this communication or conversation is going on between Cosmos and Eric. Eric says that, "Who says that you are cleverer than me?" Cosmos replies, "Says me. I say that I am cleverer than you. I can compute billions of numbers in a nanosecond in less time than it takes you to say Cosmos is great. I can compute the life of planets, of comets, of stars, and of galaxies." He challenges that I can compute billions of numbers in just microseconds. Nanosecond means it's a very short movement, or you can say it's the 1000 millionth part of a second. And before that nanosecond gets completed, Cosmos can calculate the life of planets or the comets or the stars or the galaxies. Or before you can say Cosmos is the most impressive computer that I have ever seen. He is truly incredible that if you take only 30 seconds to say this line, I can, it means that Cosmos is vain. He is very proud of his capabilities that he can do he can do the marvelous calculations. He can do the huge or gigantic calculations in nanoseconds. All right, said Eric. "Cosmos, you are the most impressive computer we have ever seen. Now can we get on? I want to show George how a star is born." Now Eric corrects Cosmos. "It's okay, I agree with you that you are the most impressive computer we have ever seen. Now shall we move on? Shall we get on? I want you to show George how a star is born." Eric instructs Cosmos that now this is enough. We agree that you are the most impressive computer. Now it's the time to tell George or show George that how a star is born. "No," said Cosmos. Cosmos declined or refused to follow Eric's instruction. No, said Eric. Eric was, what you can say, surprised at his response. What do you mean? No, you ridiculous machine. He said that. What is the meaning? How you can say no to me? You ridiculous machine. He must take the oath, said Cosmos. Cosmos says, unless or until George is ready to take an oath, I cannot tell or share or show George that how a star is born. So he has to first take an oath. What is the meaning of an oath? It means a pledge or a vow. VOW. Vow is also the pledge, or you can call it an oath. Good point, clever Cosmos. It was a very important and a vital point. So he appreciated Cosmos. That good Cosmos, said Eric, leaping over to the blackboard. And saying this, Eric leaped over to the blackboard. Something was written on the blackboard, and you can make a guess what was written on the blackboard. The oath was written on the blackboard. George said, Eric, to learn about the greatest subject in the whole universe, are you prepared to take a special oath? Now he turned towards George and he asked him that if you want to learn about the greatest subject in the whole universe, then first of all you need to take a special oath. To promise that you will use your knowledge only for good and not for evil. And this is very important, George. Science can be a force for good, but it can also do great harm. He tells George that until or unless you take this oath, you cannot get the greatest subject in the whole universe, because science can be a blessing, science can be good for the humanity, and it can also cause a great harm or threat for the humanity or the humankind. George stood up straighter and looked Eric in the eye. After listening this, he stood up and he looked direct or straight at the eyes in a bold and open manner without any fear. That means he was ready to accept this, he was ready to take this oath, or he was ready to accept the condition put forth by Eric to know the secrets of the universe. I am, he confirmed. He said that, okay, I am ready to take the oath. Then said Eric, look at the words on the blackboard. It is the oath of the scientist. Read the oath out aloud. Now, he mentioned the oath written on the blackboard. Let's see which oath is written on the blackboard. The words of the oath made him feel tingly with excitement right down to his toes. He read the oath out loud as Eric had instructed. What is the meaning of tingly? That means excited or stimulated. He was very curious or inquisitive or excited or enthusiastic, or you can say stimulated to know. That's why he started reading the oath aloud as per the instructions of Eric. What is the oath? I swear to use my scientific knowledge for the good of humanity. I promise never to harm any person in my search of enlightenment. I shall be courageous and careful in my quest for greater knowledge about the mysteries that surround us. I shall not use scientific knowledge for my personal gain or give it to those who seek to destroy the wonderful planet on which we live. If I break this oath, may the beauty and wonder of the universe forever remain hidden from me. So, what was the gist of this oath? That whatever the knowledge he would obtain from Cosmos about the universe, he would use that knowledge to satisfy his quest. Okay, and he will not be using that scientific knowledge for his personal gain or against the humanity or to destroy or devastate the wonderful planet Earth on which we live. And if he does so, if he breaks this oath, may the beauty and wonder of the universe forever remain hidden. It will not be, what you can say, it will not be shared with George, or it will remain inherent or hidden from George forever. So this was the oath which he read aloud. Now there is a question. Can you think of a time when you felt tingly with an excitement? You just recall any moment, any surprising element in your life when you were very enthusiastic or curious or inquisitive to know about something. It could be about any your exam result, it could be any surprise birthday party or any good surprise gift which you have received. So at that time when we are very curious and inquisitive to know the things happen, it could be the finale of the World Cup final, where the last few overs decides, or the last over decides who is going to win the World Cup, which happened in the recent World Cup between, if I am not mistaken, it was New Zealand and England, and finally it was won by England or the New Zealand. We need to check it out. So this is enough for today's lecture. The rest of the reading we will be continuing in second part. Stay tuned for the next part of this video and see how George's secret key has explored the mysteries of the universe. Read the chapter again and complete the given assignment in your fair notebook. Have a great day.